Hello, welcome to a video about the ZMI altar, part of a series on Runescape called Dead Content, in which we explore the unused and old content in Runescape and explain their history and discover ways of how we make this content relevant in Runescape today. So, as you can see, here I am in the ZMI altar world on world 36 rather, and there's literally nobody here. So this ZMI altar is no longer being used by basically anyone, and let's explore why that is and how can we fix it. Hello, so now let's quickly go over the mechanics of the ZMI altar, or basically how to use the altar and how to train here. So where I'm at right now is where you would be if you had used the Aurania teleport in the lunar spellbook, which requires 71 magic and the completion of the quest Lunar Diplomacy. This is very important in training here because you will be using the Aurania teleport as well as the NPC contact spell to receive maximum XP rates. So to reach the ZMI altar, you would walk all the way up this path, excuse me for a second, and you follow this path basically here until you reach the top of the hill marked by the altar symbol as well as the rune crafting symbol. So up here, conveniently placed, there is a chaos altar which you can pray at to recharge your prayer for a purpose we will describe very quickly. So once you're inside the ZMI altar area, you will be first greeted by this bank. So Eniola here is a special bank where he requires 20 of any kind of rune in order to access your bank. So any rune can be used to access this bank, including the very expensive nature runes or the very cheap mind runes. I have some body runes, so I'll just use those for now. And here I can withdraw my rune essence to use in the altar. So let me get out my pouches. Excuse me. And get some pure essence. Alright, great. So now we are ready to go to the altar. As you can see, we have two paths here as I opened up the minimap. The first path here is very long and winding, but here it's called the safe path. In this path, there are no aggressive monsters. So if you're a level 3 skiller or anything like that, you don't really want to have to fight anyone here, you can choose this path. It is longer, so you will receive less XP per hour, but it is safer. The second path here is much shorter than the first path, but here, as you can see, we have lizards and Zamorak fighters. These are aggressive to you, and you will have to find a way to regen your health or to protect against them. So, before you will have to use some kind of protection prayer, such as protect from ranged, if you want to go through here to avoid the damage, but now, these guys don't really hurt, as you can see. Like, I'm wearing no armor right now, and I only have 93 defense, and these guys barely scratch me, and I can just easily regen off all this damage. Also note that this isn't a multi-zone, so it's not too bad. Or is it? Well, nowadays everything's a multi-zone, so ignore me. So as you can see, the run is quite short, just a little bit, and you can speed it up with using Surge also, and then you reach this zone. Here is the rune crafting altar. You don't need any kind of tiara or talisman to reach this altar, you can just go ahead and craft a rune. So, after you craft a rune, you see, you get a bunch of random runes. So the type of runes you get depend on your rune crafting level. The higher level, the more high level runes such as death runes, blood runes, and nature runes, and soul runes you'll get. And the lower level, the more air runes and water runes, etc. you'll get. So, what this also means is that your EXP scales off of your level. So the higher rune crafting level you get, the higher XP would be naturally. And I can also just empty my pouches. I'm sorry, it does it automatically now, doesn't it? So with 72 rune crafting, as you can see, I get a very wide variety of runes. The majority of them are death runes, but I also get some low level runes such as the mind runes, and also some high level runes such as the blood runes. As you can also see that we only get a very few number of runes, and this is because we don't have combination. We don't have multiple runes in the ZMI altar. The ZMI altar does not produce, let's say, I am at the level where I can get 2 cosmic runes per essence, but the ZMI altar only gives me 1. Because of this, it is very hard to make money at the ZMI altar, at least it used to be, because pure essence was more expensive. So the ZMI altar basically gives you hardly any profit, but some decent XP. The XP you get is double the amount that you would get from a normal altar. So if I was just to enter the nature altar, for example, and use some rune essence on it, let's say I get, let me check. So if the nature altar gave 9 runecrafting XP per pure essence, the Aurania altar would give 18 XP per pure essence if I were to craft the nature rune. But then again, I can also craft air runes, which obviously have a lot less XP per essence. I can also craft blood runes, which have a lot more XP per essence. And so, theoretically, coming to the Aurania altar will be double the XP per use than going to a normal altar. So the Aurania altar is designed to be an XP training method. Another interesting use of the ZMI altar is that these Zamorak warriors drop rune items at an uncommon rate. This might be not worth farming for most players, but recently Torvesta made a video of him using this as at the start of a DMM league, and receiving a very early rune scimitar drop. So finally, we can discuss some strategies that players used in the ZMI altar to make training a bit easier. So one of them is that when somebody is running through the ZMI altar and going to the altar, you can simply follow him and not have to click the path yourself. So another strategy some players used was that they would use a Castle Wars teleport on a Ring of Dueling, or even a Demonheim teleport later on, to avoid paying the 20 rune fee at the start of the ZMI altar, and this allowed people to save some money and save some hassle and save some clicks. So the ZMI altar was released on December 2007, and to put that into context, it was right after some of the more memorable item updates such as the Darkbow release, the DFS release, etc. And it was right before the release of the Grand Exchange, so if you can think about what kind of time that was. So in a runecrafting context, the ZMI altar appeared 2 years after the Abyss in Combination update in June 2005, and it appears 5 years before the Runespan update in April 2012. So during this time, training runecrafting was a horribly slow experience. The Abyss tried to help that a little bit, but still, the XP rates were ranging around 20k per hour. Jagex advertised the release of the ZMI altar as a mysterious altar that also seemed to raise runecrafting levels at exceptional rates. So, Jagex wanted the ZMI altar to be an alternative way of training runecrafting that wasn't tied to the altars and the Abyss, etc., that was a boost in XP rates while making less money than traditional methods such as double cosmics, double astrals, and double natures. So during the time between 2007 and 2012, players who valued XP rates over profit would choose the ZMI altar for training runecrafting. And because of this, the ZMI altar was pretty popular and all of the ZMI altar worlds were pretty crowded. However, this all changed during an update in 2012, which is the Runespan. The reign, so to say, of the Iranian altar lasted from 2007 to 2012 as being the best XP runecrafting method, which is not entirely true, as you can see in the old school RuneScape community, where combinations actually do outshine the Iranian method if you're going for full efficiency. But in 2012, an update by Jagex called the Runespan basically killed the Iranian altar. Not only was it more AFK than the Iranian altar, as these nodes take a very long time to actually go down, but it actually had higher XP rates at the higher levels. Reports of over 120,000 XP per hour at the higher runecrafting levels were common at the Runespan, whereas the Iranian altar only had 60k as a max XP per hour. So not only did the Runespan have less click intensity, but also more AFK ability. So people who didn't care too much about the profit of crafting double nature runes or etc. chose Runespan over the Iranian altar at all times. So after the Runespan update, many other updates continued to seal the nail on the coffin for the Iranian altar being dead content. The first of which was the Demonic Skull update in July 2015. What the Demonic Skull allowed you to do was that through the Abyss, there is now a global 250% bonus XP modifier for any time you go to an altar through the Abyss to do any rune crafting. You can further increase this bonus XP to 350% by using a Demonic Skull, a 550k item you can buy from the Mage of Zamorak in the level 3 Wilderness. So while wearing the Demonic Skull, you can be attacked by anybody in the Wilderness, and the skull will always drop upon death, so there is no protecting it. And what this method meant was that Abyss rune crafting was no longer just a money-making method, but also boasted very high XP rates, up to 70 to 80k XP per hour. After the Demonic Skull update, in June of 2017 came Menaphos, and with that, the Soul Altar. The Soul Altar works a little bit differently than normal altars, requiring you to charge the altar with essence before obtaining a very large chunk of XP. The Soul Altar, combined with accessing the Soul Altar through the Abyss, boasts a maximum of about 300k XP per hour, which is almost 8 to 9 times more than the Iranian altar runecrafting XP per hour. So with the Soul Altar and the Abyss runecrafting, there is absolutely no reason to ever go to the Iranian altar anymore. So now the question becomes, how do we revive the Iranian altar? How do we make it a piece of content that is useful and fits into the game? Well, one quick and easy method Jagex can do is simply to allow the Wicked Hood to teleport to the Iranian altar. Currently, the Wicked Hood teleports are used in a daily fashion for mostly money. However, there is no option for the Wicked Hood for an XP gain, and that's where the Iranian altar can come in. The Iranian altar is about double the amount of XP you will get just from entering the altar naturally, so you can either choose to use your Wicked Hood charges to gain money or to gain more XP. So that would be one improvement that could be made for the Iranian altar short term, but really that's just another daily activity and you're not going to get people farming it out there. So the second suggestion I have would be to basically kill two birds with one stone for rune crafting using a newly revamped Iranian altar. So how this would work is, when you go to the Iranian altar, instead of walking all the way down to the altar is just next to the bank. But here's the catch. The altar doesn't actually craft runes. Instead, what you can do is you can take pure essence to the altar and process the pure essence into, let's say, supercharged pure essence. So this would take some time per essence, similar to crafting cannonballs, and you would invest your time to craft your pure essence, which is basically worthless, into supercharged pure essence, which will have a special use. So what this supercharged essence would do is you can take it into the Abyss or somewhere else, and you can use it on an altar, right? But instead of receiving runes from the altar by using the supercharged pure essence, instead you'll get, say, triple the XP. This creates two new ways to train rune crafting. One is an AFK moneymaker that has a low XP rate, and the other is a buyable method that has a very high XP rate. What this also does is that it creates this niche for the Iranian altar as this AFK moneymaker, so then it stops becoming dead content and people who want to AFK, train rune crafting, and make some money would choose the Iranian altar. So thank you very much for watching the first episode of the Dead Content series. As this is the first episode, I have many things to improve, so if you have any suggestions or any comments or criticism, please leave it in the comments, and I will use that to make my next videos better. If you've enjoyed this video and you've learned something from it, please consider following and subscribing to my channel to see next videos in this series, and maybe other videos completely. Thank you very much.